How's it going? Dave here, and in today's video I'm going to be talking all about augmented chords and some really cool ways you can implement them in your chord progressions. So let's get straight into it. So let's talk about what an augmented chord is first. So it is a chord built on a root, third and a sharp fifth. So it's just like a major chord, but that fifth is higher by a semitone. And you get this cool kind of strange sound from an augmented chord. Very interesting sound. So this is how you play a chord, an augmented chord. If we have the root on the third fret on the low E string, we are playing 3 on the low E, 2 on the A, 1 on the D, and the open G string. Then if we were to play with the root on the A string, we have third fret of the A string, second fret of the D string, first fret of the G string, and the first fret of the B string. Then to play with the root on the D string, we are playing 3 on the D string, 2 on the G string, 2 on the B string, and 1 on the high E string, just like that. So that's how you play your augmented chords. This is how you use them in your chord progression. So the first way is a very quick and easy way to spice up your chord progression. So you could just go back and forth on chord 1 in your key, from a C, let's play in the key of C, a C chord to a C augmented chord, and back and forth, C, C augmented, C, C augmented. Plenty of songs have used this as the basis of their song. So already there's one way we can use the augmented chord in our chord progression, but that is a very boring way. There are so many different cool and interesting ways of using augmented chords in your progressions, so let's look into them now. So what we can do is we can, for this second technique, play an augmented chord on chord 1 or chord 5 in our key. So if we're sticking to the key of C, you could play a C augmented or a G augmented chord. And what we do from either one of those chords is we can move to chord 1, 4 or 6 in our key. So for example, in the key of C, chord 1 is C, chord 4 is F, and chord 6 is A minor. So we can move from C augmented to any one of those chords. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play C, C augmented, and then play each of these chords. So C, C augmented, back to C again, we've already done that. Then C, C augmented, A minor. Sounds quite nice. And C, C augmented, F. That also sounds quite nice. And then what we can do is take our 5 chord G and then play a G augmented and go to each one of those chords as well. So G, here's a different fingering for the G augmented chord. So I'm playing the 3rd fret of the low E string, the 5th fret of the D, the 4th fret of the G and B, and then I can head to C. Okay, so that G augmented chord works just like a 5 chord in our key. Okay, you could replace the G7 for a G augmented if you want to. Now we could play G, G augmented, F. Sounds quite cool. Then you could also play G, G augmented, A minor. Now that sounds quite cool as well. So from your 1 chord or your 5 chord, you can move to chords 1 again, 4 or 6. So that is the second method of using augmented chords in your chord progressions. Now remember I said you could use that augmented chord as chord 5 in your key, and this is where things start getting a little bit interesting. So let's take a look at the special quality of an augmented chord, and that is that it's a symmetrical chord. So what is a symmetrical chord? A symmetrical chord is basically where every note is the same distance apart. So if we take our G augmented chord, G is a major third away from B, B is a major third away from D sharp, and D sharp again is a major third away from that root note G. So every note, no matter where it is in the chord, is only a major third away from the previous or the next note. That's what makes augmented chords a symmetrical chord. Now this also means that a G augmented chord is exactly the same notes as a B augmented chord, and a B augmented chord is exactly the same notes as a D sharp augmented chord. So we can start to change keys using these augmented chords, because remember I said G augmented can be the 5 chord in a key, but if G augmented is also the same chord as B augmented could be used as the 5 chord in the key of E. And if D sharp can be used interchangeably with G augmented, we can use that D sharp augmented to change to the key of A flat. So from the key of C, we could change to either the key of E, or we could change to the key of A flat using our augmented chords. So let's try this out. So I'm going to play a 1-4-5 in the key of C. That is C, F, and G. And then back to C again. Now on that G chord, I'm going to change from G to G augmented. And of course it leads us back to C, but that G augmented could also be seen as a B augmented. And it sounds a lot better if we can put the B in the bass. So I'm going to put the B in the bass. And it leads nicely because B is the 5 in the key of E to the key of E. Okay, G augmented could be the same as B augmented into the key of E. Now the transition could sound a little bit smoother if we play the diatonic 5 chord after we play that augmented chord. So after B augmented, I'm going to play B7. It makes the transition just a little bit smoother. So I'm going to play in the key of C, C, F, G, G augmented, which is the same as B augmented, then B7, and then E. And I'm going to play a 1-4-5 in the key of E. So E, A, B, E. And hopefully you can see how that augmented chord really helps us smoothly transition into another key. So there we have it, we've changed key from C to E. Now we could also change key from C to A flat if we use that G augmented chord as a D sharp augmented chord, and then we play our 5 chord in the key of A flat, which is D sharp 7, or E flat 7 I mean, into A flat. So let's try that. C, F, G, G augmented, E flat 7, and then into our A flat key where we play a 1-4-5 in the key of A flat. So A flat, D flat, E flat. Very seamless key change there, and that augmented chord adds some tension that really resolves very nicely into our other keys. What this also means is we could just keep on changing keys forever and ever if we use that 5 chord in our new key, E flat, as an E flat augmented chord. We could change keys from A flat to E again. So A flat, D flat, E flat 7, E flat augmented, which is the same as G augmented or B augmented. I'm going to use it as a B augmented, into a B7, and then back to the key of E. And then we can play a 1-4-5 in the key of E. So that's how you can use augmented chords to change keys. And one more thing that I forgot to mention earlier in the video, but I'm going to mention it now, is you can use augmented chords as a secondary dominant chord. So if you know what secondary dominant chords are, great. If you don't, basically what we're doing is we are playing, say we've got 2 chords in our chord progression, C and A minor. Our target chord is the chord we want to go to next. So from C, it's going to be A minor. We play an augmented chord 1/5 above the A minor. So we're going to play an E augmented chord, which leads very nicely into that A minor. So it's C, E augmented, A minor. Let's have a listen. And then if we maybe wanted to go to F from here, the 5th of F is C, so we could play a C augmented leading into our F. And then we could play from, if we're going to G next, the 5th of G is D, so we could play a D augmented, but let's spice things up a little bit. D augmented is the same thing as F sharp augmented or A sharp augmented. Let's play an A sharp augmented. And then transitions very nicely there. Now, when you're writing, you really want to think about your voice leading to make sure the transitions are as seamless as possible. I wasn't really thinking about it there, so I probably could have got it sounding a little bit better if I just used some better voice leading. So make sure you're thinking about that when you're writing your chord progressions using augmented chords, as it's really, really important to getting the sound to be as smooth and as seamless as possible. So if you enjoyed the video, click like, let me know what you thought in the comments. I've only really touched the surface when it comes to augmented chords, so if you want to see more videos on augmented chords, then let me know in the description. And make sure, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to my channel. There's loads more videos like this with great music theory content. Make sure you hit that notification bell as well, so that every single time I release a new video, you're notified. I have a Patreon page, so if you're really enjoying my videos and you would like to give back, then you can donate as little as $2 a month to help my channel out. That goes towards having more time to produce these videos. And also, if you are looking to really improve your chord progressions and really invest some time into making your chord progressions better, then head to the description, and the first 2 chapters of my book are available for free. In those first 2 chapters, you're going to learn how to write a cool diatonic chord progression, and from there I'm going to show you all the cool different extensions you can use, like 6ths, 9ths, 7ths, 11ths, 13ths, to create jazzy sounding, sophisticated chord progressions. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, definitely go to the description. It's free, you've got nothing to lose. That's all for today, so I'll see you in the next video, and have a good one.